Hey everybody, in this example we are going to tackle the cosine of 30 degrees plus 45 degrees. Now the next time you see something like this, it may very well be presented as, say, the cosine of 75 degrees, and it's up to you to figure out what is the most appropriate set of angles to use to figure this out, since 75 degrees is not on the unit circle. So this is exactly how you would go about doing it. I prefer to use an angle sum identity such as this, 30 plus 45 degrees. Now, if you wanted to put 45 first and 30 second, obviously that doesn't matter because addition is commutative. So right here we have our alpha and beta set up for us. Then you need to know the appropriate identity. That would be cosine alpha times cosine beta. And then for cosine, we always use the opposite sign. So minus sine of alpha and sine times the sine of beta. Now next, it's important to really know where these angles are and what the sine and cosine of each of them will be. 45 degrees is right there in the middle. You go over and you go up the same amount. Therefore, your cosine and your sine are the same value, and we should all know, if you're at this point in your trigonometry curriculum, you should all know that the cosine then is root 2 over 2 and the sine is also root 2 over 2. Being in quadrant 1 makes them both positive. So really, if I'm evaluating those two in particular, they're both root 2 over 2. You do not write sine or cosine in front of that. That would just be very silly. Then we're looking at 30 degrees. 30 degrees is smaller than 45 degrees, not to scale. This is 30 degrees-ish, and I'm going to go over my x or cosine. I'm going to go up my y or sine. If you are this far again in your curriculum for trigonometry, we should all know that going over this much in this drawing here is representative of root 3 over 2, and then going up this itty bit right there indicates 1/2. Root 3 times root 2 is root 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Minus 1 times root 2 is root 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And I would just wrap it up and write my answer together with one denominator. You cannot combine the terms on top, but you would get root 6 minus root 2 all over 4. One last thing I like to do to think about if my answer makes sense is I like to think, is root 6 minus root 2 over 4 going to give me a positive or a negative answer? Since root 6 is bigger than root 2, I'm going to get a positive fraction as my answer, which makes sense because 75 degrees is in quadrant 1. And if I'm finding the cosine of that, that's the x value. That would be to the right, and that would indicate a positive answer. So this makes sense. If you feel good about your answer and your ability to do this, go ahead and throw a thumbs up on the example. If you don't feel good, you could go ahead and give a thumbs down, but we all hope you feel good about it. Click through for the next example and let me know if I made any mistakes in the comments underneath the video. Have a great day. Adios.